Yo, what's good everyone? I hope you're doing well. And today we're going to be taking a little bit of a deep dive in how I recreated Shinedown's Sound of Madness guitar tone using MixWave SpiritBox plugin. The incredible people over at MixWave were kind enough to send me this plugin a while back actually, and I'm just now getting the chance to use this plugin, and I have to say I absolutely love the aggression that you're able to implement into your guitar tone. Special thanks to Taylor Larson and the rest of the MixWave crew for sending over this plugin. Before we jump into this video, there's one thing that I kind of want to touch on. When I set out to perfect this series, the main objective was not to use EQ matching like you can find within FabFilter Pro Q3 and 4. The goal was to push the limits of what my ears were able to hear. That's been something that I've been really working on the past year or so. So with that said, let's go ahead and jump into it. So first things first, I open up the Overdrive within MixWave SpiritBox. I increased the Overdrive to around 9 o'clock, and I push the tone to increase the high end that is going into the following amp, and then I max out the balance. It varies from overdrive to overdrive, but typically my train of thought is I start pushing the overdrive until I start hearing more breakup, and then I pull it back. Following the overdrive, I open up an instance of the lead head within MixWave SpiritBox. With the lead head, I push the gain to around 5.5, and then I increase a good bit of the low end, and then I almost entirely decrease the mids. The lead head naturally has a lot, and I mean a lot, of mid-range, and then I max out the highs, the presence, and the depth. A being this to Shinedown's tone, comparatively it had a lot of high end, so I wanted to bring that across with the highs and the presence. And the depth to my ear is bringing out a lot of sub-harmonic content in the low end and the low mids. And then following the head, I introduce a 4x12 cab. I'm gonna stop right here to say I absolutely love that you're able to have a quad mic setup with this cab. You're able to control the speaker as well as the microphone that is on each independent speaker. That allows for a lot of customization, and I have to say I really like that. I love having that amount of control over the overall guitar tone because your cab is arguably 80% of the overall tone structure. So on speaker 1, I'm using a V30 with a dynamic 57. For speaker 2, I'm using the V30 with a dynamic 421. Speaker 3 is a greenback with a condenser 450, and speaker 4 is a greenback with a ribbon 122. Next, I introduced the reverb pedal. The reason I pulled in this reverb is because A being this against the original tone, I noticed that there was a lot of room reverb underneath the main tone, so I wanted to bring that across, and the reverb pedal within this plugin did an incredible job of doing so. I pushed the low cut to 105 Hertz and pulled back the high cut to around 2.8K. This low and high cut reined in the frequencies so I could layer this a lot cleaner underneath the cab and the head. Following this, I engaged the hall mode with 50% wetness, 100% dry, pulling back the tone and making sure the decay was at its lowest. This setting with the reverb pedal took a while to dial in, but I'm really happy with the final result. It introduces this really beautiful reverb for the main guitar to lay on top of. After MixWave SpiritBox, I introduced Pro Q4 from FabFilter. I introduced a high pass to 80 Hertz, boosted a touch of 360 Hertz by a couple dB. This 360 Hertz boost introduced a really nice tonality in the low mids to accentuate some fundamental frequencies. Following this, I made a handful of notches between 380 Hertz to 960 Hertz. This 1.5K notch, there was naturally way too much of this frequency coming from MixWave SpiritBox. So to further match this to the original tone, pulling this back was extremely necessary. And then I did some additional narrow cuts and boosts between 2.8K and 6.5K. And then finally maxing out 17.6 Hertz by 30 dB with a 36 dB per octave boost. I found that this boost, as crazy as it looks, resulted in bringing out some of the best characteristics of the high end of the head and cab. In all of my tone building, especially over the past year and a half, I have recognized that the majority of my favorite tones keep or boost a ton of high end, and it sounds amazing. And even with maxing out the treble and the presence on the amp head, it still called for a ton more high end. So I found that the best way of implementing more high end was with this bell boost.